Good everyone. Welcome back to our free online software development internship training by No Big Deal, organized by No Big Deal, then anchored by Salah Rahim. Today we want to be talking about web development basic front end. We want to summarize everything under this topic. This topic we covered HTML, CSS, JavaScript, BOSTRAP, and React.js. As a software developer, you should know this basic software used for development. So let's get started. Our first code here is HTML code. As we all know that HTML is a structural language. The full meaning of hypertext markup language, which is used to structure content on the web page. So how do we create HTML structure? We have some important tags that we need to remind ourselves with. Tags like HTML, head, body, and title. That are the four important tags that we need to know. And again, some other key tags like H1, which is used for headings. That's H1 to H6. Then we have P tag is used for paragraph. Ahref, which is used in linking two or more web pages together. Then we should also remind ourselves about img tag. It's a tag that we use in importing images to our web page. Also, we have ul tag, ol tag. These are the tags that we use for lists. If you have a list of some items, list of some things, then we have div, that is div. That is a tag that we use for container. So as a software developer, you should be familiar with these tag mentioned. You should know how to use them. So we may not be able to cover every tags we mentioned, but as an intern student, you should be able to create a simple page with heading and paragraph. Then even you should be able to import images to your HTML. So having said that, let's look briefly on this code. This is an HTML code. This particular code here, it includes some CSS. So if we look closely, let's look at the body tags. We use H1 and we use P tag. This particular code now, it will make, when we talk about the H1, it will make that particular content to be more bold on our web page body. Then the P tag is the paragraph text that has a content also, but it won't be as bigger as that first one. So as it, you can run this particular HTML code yourself. Put it in your text editor, run it, and see how the looks will look like. HTML structures has 4, which is HTML, head, title, body, and the rest. And we have some important tags that we have mentioned. So please, we want you to use it to create a simple web page with a heading, an image. Also, you can even create 2 or more web pages and link them with a href tag. So my classwork for you on this particular HTML is to create a personal profile page. This will include your name, should be in h1 tag. Then your biodata should be in paragraph. Then you use a picture with it. Then you now create a web page link. Then it's still among your homework where you need to add a list of your 3 favorite hobbies using UL and LI tags. So I want you to do that. I don't need to be wasting my time on HTML. I believe we have all gone through some trainings. So moving on to CSS, cascading style sheet. This particular CSS, it is used to beautify our web page. It is used to style HTML elements, like changing of color, changing of font size, changing of font style, alignments, text alignments, and the rest. So it's just like adding some beauty to your HTML. This is an example of a style. We have many ways of putting CSS style to our page. The first style method we use is inline CSS. We equally use internal CSS, and we also use external CSS. So I want you to look at this code on the screen. You will notice that we use external CSS. So external CSS is whereby you create a different text editor file in another page. You save it as style, then you link them together. So this particular style now is styling our body, and it's changing the font to Arial. Then it now locates what we call H1. So all these tags on this CSS, it is called selector. We have many selectors in CSS. Among the selectors, we have the element selectors. So selectors, element selectors, they are tags in HTML. So like body is a tag in HTML, but it's a element selector in CSS. Then we have another selector, that is class selector. We don't have class selector here, whereby you'll be using dots. That means you have already created a class in your HTML. So you are using dot with that class name to call the element. And we have another thing, hash id. And id is the hash is id. That is the method we use in calling anything that will, any element we call id on our HTML. So we have some other thing to talk about, like properties. Properties like color, font size, margin, and padding. So that is why we are seeing something like background color. Background color is property under body that is given a color of this color code. Then we have another font family is a property that is having an attribute of area. Then under this selector we have another property called color. That means we want to color the text of your H1. That is the content under H1. You want to color it blue. We have another thing, text alignment is another property to align your text to center. So those are the things I want you to take note. You should take note about the selectors, the types of CSS we use, which are the inline, but I will urge us to maintain external CSS. Then the selectors, properties, and values. I want us to let us work on it very well. Then I want to challenge you to do these tasks. That is, style your profile page that you create formally on HTML. You have to give a background color, font style, and text alignment. Then our own work will be like add border, margin to your image using CSS, border, padding. Try them out. If you have any question, just comment. Then we can look at it so that we'll know the direction of our project will be. So that is for CSS. CSS is used to style. Then we talk about CSS, flexbox, and grid page layout. How do we use grid lines in CSS? It's part of styling our page also. So flexbox example style looks like this. This is the way we can write our style when we talk about flexbox. Then we'll talk about grids. This is the way we can write grids. Grid is a kind of template. That is a kind of colon template that we normally write. That is dividing your page, dividing some of your parts to colon. So let's try and run this kind of code to see what I'm trying to tell you. Very easy. So after you have already done that one, you have to create a 2-column layout. One side for text, one for images. Then you create another 3-column, skip selection and using flexbox. So let's try it out. We're moving on to JavaScript. We know the meaning of JavaScript on our web page. That is to add behavior. It is to add behavior to web page, like button, like click. So it adds some functional things to our web page. So it makes our page more interactive. Let's look at this code example on the screen. So the first code here is just writing a simple function that we alert hello class on the screen. So it's we create a button using our HTML, then we call that button using our script, so that whenever we click on that click me, it will display something called hello class. So the first code here, which is button on click, we pass in values called say hello, then we put what the user will see on the screen, which is click me. So a button will appear on the screen, then when you click on that click me, we have already written some interactive function for it. So immediately you click on click me, you just see something coming to your screen, say hello class. So under this JavaScript, I want you to make a button that shows your name in alert. So definitely you can use this method to click to achieve this. You just say button on click. You can decide to say hello, you can decide to say my name, but you make sure it is a function by putting open bracket and close. Then in a place where they write click me, you said say my name. Then you now create your own function with the name you provide under on click. Then you alert your name depending on what you want to alert. Then homework is that you create two buttons. This time around is no longer one button. You create a two button, one to show your age, one to show your location. I want to believe that you understand it. That means you are creating a button on click, say my name, a button on click, say my age. Then you have to provide two functions for it. So under JavaScript, you should be familiar with variables. How do we declare variable? How do we call variables? So if you are declaring a variables in JavaScript, you'll be using a keyword like let, constant, and the rest. So you should be able to familiar with function also. That we have some inbuilt function and we have some normal manual function that we create. Whenever you are declaring a function, make sure that you write the name of the function itself. That's function, the function name, and open bracket. Then whatever you want it to do, it will be inside your colleague's break. So that is function. Then doom manipulation. That is when you are using document.getElement by ID. So this particular doom, it changes. We use it to is an object oriented language that we use to get some elements from our HTML and work with it. Maybe you want to format something under H1, you have to get elements by that ID, then change the color. That's the work of doom. So this one too is another example of doom. If you notice, we create an ID here called greet, and if you notice here, we call the ID here. This particular code here is changing text, so that is why we need to call. So this particular ID now we reflect on this welcome. So we are changing this welcome to this. So document, help me locate a document. Get this element that is ID name greet. It will now come and locate this ID name greet. And then when you get it, if it is inside the HTML, then you change that word to this particular word. So this is the kind of graph, this is the kind of JavaScript that we use in changing elements in our HTML. So under this particular JavaScript, you should be able to create a button that changes a picture or headings. It is the same way here that you will do it here. Nothing change. Then you should make a simple form. When user type name and click submit, shows hello, then that particular person name. So let's try this one out. If you have any challenges, just drop your comments, tell me, so that we can run our own practical together. But I believe you can do it. This is just a simple something that we have been doing in our normal class before we come to internship. Bootstrap. Bootstrap is a styling framework. It's a framework whereby you don't need to style everything yourself. It is used for designing responsive and modern websites easily. Instead of me to be writing a style like CSS, I can make use of some links. We have some external links that I can call, and it will change everything. So you can download the files, you can download some Bootstrap files, then use this particular, some of the link like this, to call the bootstraps. So this time around, we'll look for existing bootstrap, we'll download it, then we'll now link it to our HTML. So these are the code example of it. Then if you look down here, we also have some written bootstrap. So if you look at this, a BTN is a bootstrap language that is changing the button to some kind of beautify buttons. It doesn't mean that it makes our button to work, but it's just to change the looks. So Bootstrap is very, very important. To use it, you can start learning their functions, or you just get a Bootstrap files, link it to your web page. So what I would advise you now to learn more is how to do grid system. Grid system is dividing your pages to rows and column. Then how do we work on buttons? That is where you'll be using BTN or BTN primary. So the kind of bootstraps that we use to changing the looks of our buttons. Then forms, nav bars. How do we beautify our nav bars using Bootstrap? So your task now is use Bootstrap to create a card with image, title and buttons. Use Bootstrap to create a card with image, title and buttons. Now we'll talk about homework. That's design a simple portfolio. Design a simple portfolio page with Bootstrap, grids